Good morning to all dignitaries, guests, and delegates with great joy and immense exultation. I, Dr. Shahista Inamdar, Assistant Professor, Navjivan Law College, and coordinator of this virtual lecture series on behalf of Navjivan Education Society's Navjivan Law College, welcome you all for Phase 3. Subject Forensic Science, Cyber Law, and Medical Jurisprudence. As you all know, crime in some form or other has existed since the beginning of human race. With advancement in science and technology, the concept of crime as well as the methods adopted by criminals in its commission have undergone a phenomenal change. On one hand, the intelligent criminal has been quick to exploit science for his criminal acts. On the other hand, the police investigator is no longer able to rely on his age old art of interrogation, development of sources, and surveillance to detect crime. The barbaric and torturous methods of detecting crime have also no place in a civilized society. In these circumstances, what can the police investigator turn to except the developing science? It is in this context forensic science has found its existence. Therefore, Navjivan Law College has chosen in this virtual lecture series the subject forensic science. Now, I request Principal Dr. K.K. Dev for his welcome address.
Pleasure on my part that our coordinator have taken a lot of effort and conduct virtual lecture series. I welcome today's resource person, Advocate Yogesh Dave, who was a student of this college itself and now practicing in Bombay as an advocate. And we are very much thankful to him that he has accepted our invitation to deliver a lecture today on the cyber crime. And as Dr. Saista has given you a brief idea with regarding the cyber crime and the jurisprudence, I hope you will enjoy today's lecture. So I also welcome the participants and my students and all faculty members who have joined today's virtual lecture. Thank you very much. Enjoy the lecture today.
Thank you, sir. As we have chosen the subject forensic science, the very first day of this, that is day 5, deals with cyber law. In today's digital era, when we all are using internet, it is very important to be aware of the cyber laws of our country and around. My colleague Pandey sir to introduce the resource person for you, Pandey sir.
Thank you, ma'am. Mumbai. And today he is going to deliver his lecture on cybercrime law and its prevention in nutshell. He is a product of Navjivan Law College. After passing his BCom from the Mumbai in the year 2005, he was from intellectual property law and cyber law. He has done 3 years computer diploma in software and hardware from Data Pro, Mumbai. He joined Chamber of RS Apte Senior Council Mumbai and DS Subnis Senior Council from 2005 to 2009. And now, since 2009, he is practicing independently in the Mumbai High Court. He's from 5 years, last 5 years, he's working as AGP, that is Assistant Government Pleader, and APP, Bombay High Court. He has handled all types of writ petitions, civil, criminal, cyber, consumer matters on behalf of state government in Bombay High Court. And of course, he appeared in the Supreme Court also on behalf of Maharashtra government. He served as guest lecturer in Navjivan Law College, Dalmia Lawrence Law College, Malad and Asmita College, Vikhroli. He is awarded as Adarsh Vidyarthi Puraskar from our college, Navjivan Law College. He wrote various articles in law on law issues in leading newspapers, including Times of India. He is expert in digital photography and water as well as oil-based painting. I remember at the time of first NAC visit in 2004, his paintings and photographs were displayed in presence of NAC committee, peer committee members, and they appreciated it a lot. So I'm really very happy to introduce our product who has achieved a very high position in a very less period of time. And I'm sure one day he will certainly come as elevated to be a High Court judge, Bombay High Court judge. So friends, I welcome once again Yogesh Yashwant Dapke and I request him to address our students. Over to you, Yogesh.
Thank you so much, sir, for inviting me, first of all, to deliver a lecture on cybercrime. I would like to share my presentation so that everybody can see the today's topic. The DSCI, that is Data Security Council of India, and NASCOM. Now, what is the object of the cyber law? That we will see. First thought came in the mind that we called a cyber law, that is in the year 1996 onward, because net activity started growing rapidly. I have used word World Wide Web because it is open for all. You can do all kind of activities 24/7 without having any restrictions. Criminals also started to take advantage of this. Computer is now becoming, I can say that it is a tool or it can be a target in this cyberspace. Now there was one convention on modern law on electronic commerce on international trade law. In this convention on 30th January 1997, first time UN General Assembly adopted the resolution and recommended it for their member state. Accordingly, in the year 1998, the Department of Electronics India drafted the bill and ultimately bill was passed. We can say the classification of society too. Now I want to, you can see that these are the offenses. The first will be hacking, then cyberbullying, identity theft, then data theft, then source code theft, then cyber terrorism, and various offenses too. I want to share all not happened. That is called preventive measures. So first of all, we will start the offenses from the hacking. Now, hacking, all of you know that in short we can say then unauthorized access over a computer. So even if you are holding a phone without permission, it amounts to hacking. Now guessing and entering of sequence of any security key on a mobile phone or a computer, ATM pin or debit or credit CVV, etc., it amounts to hacking. So if you are see what had happened sometimes. We are having a group of students. We are standing in the corridor. Somebody asks, "Give your mobile. I want to see." So if you take a mobile without his permission and try to enter his password or guess the password, it amounts to hacking. Now, Section 43A read with 66 of IT Act will applicable, along with the Section 379 and 406 of the IPC Act will also apply. Then, if you are going for the civil compensation, then if your compensation is up to 5 crore, then you can file a claim before the adjudication officer. And if the claim is above the 5 crore, then the civil court is having the authority. And if it is proved, hacking is proved, then punishment is sentence for 2 years or fine is 5 lakhs rupees or both. And the category of offense is Section 77B, that is cognizable, bailable and compoundable in the nature. And if Section 379 is applied, then it is non-bailable. Next, second offense is cyberbullying. Now, second offense is cyberbullying means sending some harassment or sending cruel message or posting some fake profiles through the email or other digital means. The major targeted group is minor or women or celebrities as per the NCRB data. So a student flooded by various threatenings and taunting messages about he is being cross-eyed or say too weak in studies and start to feel like that, a student is said to be a cyber bullied. This is a classic example. One more example I would like to give: a fake Facebook profile with female picture, address or phone number was created with a status message that call for full satisfaction. What had happened? She got phone calls at midnight and starting that want full satisfaction and ready to pay. Now, this amounts to cyberbullying. Now, the section 66A will apply, but initially it was section 66A, but now the Supreme Court in its Leah case, now this section has been struck down by the Supreme Court. We don't have section corresponding sections in the Indian Penal Code, that is section 254D, 500, 506 of the IPC. The punishment will be, if it is proved, the punishment will be sentence for 2 years or fine or both. And the category of the offence is 77P, that is, it is non-cognizable, bailable, and accountable in the nature. The third offence is identity theft. It means the stealing someone's identity, that is stealing of identity, or you can say if it is a business, it is a goodwill or name of a person, company, to access resources or to gain credit or benefits in that person's name. So what you are doing here, accessing the identity or goodwill. Why you are doing this? Because you want and send it to her private email. This tool is forwarded to all emails, and files were received by the builder to her sister's email ID. This act is also constituted as data theft. I would like to give one more example. One Sunil was working with some software company. He was working there last for 4 years. Now, what he has done, he got some lucrative job in some another company. But while leaving the company, what he had done, he had given some 1 month notice period, and he attached his pen drive and attaches all valuable information and secret data, including software code, source code, to his personal email and copied also in the pen drive. This act of the Sunil is constituted as data theft, as well as he has also copied some programs. So it is also comes under the source code theft. The section will be applicable 43B of the IT Act, section 37, section 405 and 420 of the IPC Act 11. If you file for that, then before civil court, the punishment will be sentence 3 years or fine 5 lakhs rupees or both. Then category of the crime is 70 of the state. So in organizations, shut down some national. I want to give you an example of energy. Course or governments into in the ambit of cyber terrorism. I want to give you a classic example. Some terrorists 800 emails a day over a 2 period in order to disturb the communication and try to damage friendly relations with the foreign state. Now, this act of the terrorist comes under the offense of cyber terrorism. Software student successfully hacked controls of used result dam. This dam was in the USA. What he has done, he has entered into a system of dam. That dam is entirely controlled by the, we can say it is controlled by automatically by the computer. If the level of the water level hikes, then the gate of the particular dam, that particular dam, doors get open. So he had entered into that particular system. He just modified the program, and the result is the entire Mesa and Thames cities get flooded, and at least 1 million people comes into an danger. This act of the student is termed as cyber terrorism. This is very dangerous position. The next sixth offense will be spreading of virus or bomb. This is very, everyone, that we got some messages on emails, or when we are doing surfing on Facebook, or we are doing on any other media, we got a message that your computer is affected by virus or bombs. many of you get some messages on the email. So if it is affected your computer because of this, then we can say that your program is affected by viruses and all. It is a set of executable files which exploit vulnerability of your operating system. Your operating system will get damaged. In most of the cases, virus can do any amount of damage. That is the creators intends to them to do. We can say that they can send you your data to a third party person, and then they can delete your data. If what is the result? The result will be yours from this account. This is very bad. So please remember, if you received email from the bank, first verify whether it is received from the bank or it is from the fake website of the bank. So in year 2003, many people received email from the eBay. You might have received an email from the eBay also. That user account will get suspended unless you click on the provided link. What had happened? One person, he clicked upon the email and he updated the credit card information. Many of people witnessed that they lost some handsome amount from the eBay, and they never get further access to the account. This act of the particular person that is accused, that comes under the offense of phishing. Section 66D of the IT Act will be applicable. Then Section 379 and 420 of the IPC Act will be applicable. Then punishment will be 3 years and fine of 1 lakh or both. Then category of the offense is 77B. It will be non-cognizable, it may be payable, and non-compoundable. The next offense I want to cover is ransomware and cyber extortion. Cyber extortion means it is a pretext of some demands, gaining of amount fraudulently. Means someone person is asking under the pretext that I will do something if you provide something to me. I want to give you a classic example that computer gets infected by virus, followed by message, get antivirus software just for $99. You might have received such kind of email on your email. So moment you click upon the link, you pay the amount. So it gets link that on your email that you click on some link, it will get antivirus software to be loaded or downloaded on your system. And the moment you run the software of antivirus, it will never remove the antivirus, but certainly you remove some your sensitive information. So please remember whether the downloaded file is authenticate or it is a fake. So don't click if you are suspected, then never click upon the link. It will never remove your antivirus or it will remove your some important information. The moment you click upon the run of the next most popular offense is fraud. How many of you can see the picture upon the right hand side that you might have received such kind of email on your mail? Congratulations, you have won so and so. You might have received such kind of email. Thus, these emails are generally from the financial or banking or social network. That is fake. You have received some email. You are under the pretext that this mail has been received from some financial or banking or social sites. Because in order to commit some fraud through email. Now, I want to give you one example that you have received a lottery email claiming that you have won price of $1 lakh. He is asked to deposit $750 for getting this check courier. Again, ask rupees $2,500 for the banking clearance. In this case, neither check was sent nor it get cleared. Thus, it extorted the amount time and again and cheated the victim for the offense. So, income tax payer also got fraudulent email that fake income tax from the net income tax department in order to process income tax refund of rupees 1 lakh. The moment you click on the provided link, the link will be clicked on the fake connected to the fake income tax website and got open. So you will be under the pretext that the email or link is provided from the fake website, and if you provided the details like PAN numbers, etc., the moment you provide the PAN card, entirely system will siphon off. The act of this by the accused is come under the definition of email fraud. This is the email fraud. The category of the offense is cognizable, bailable, and non-conformable in nature. If section 420 is applicable, then it is non-bailable. Then section.
Excuse me, sir.
Sir?
I think your voice is little bit humming coming to us.
Okay.
Yeah, so please could you check the connections?
Just a minute. No.
Now it's still coming, sir. Some humming is coming there.
Now is it okay now?
No, sir, it's still coming.
The next offense I want to cover is email bombing. So it is a 10th offense which is given in the category that is email bombing. What is email bombing? It means sending of huge volumes of mails illegally, which not only at all relevant, with the intention that your inbox will get flooded. Due to limited storage of the space, you will never get important mail in your inbox. So what the accused do, he sends some various emails on your email, thousands of emails, with the intention that suppose if important emails is coming into your inbox, he send number of emails to your emails, and because of the storage capacity of the email, it will get flooded with the thousands of mail, and important mail will never come into your email. So this was with the intention that one important mail will not come into your inbox, and you will never access to the email. So such kind of act is called as email bombing. Your entire email, the result, what will be the result? It will crash your email and it will deny your service. That is, what is denial of the service? That you will never get further access to your email. So such type of act is nothing but an email bombing. The section will apply is 43E and 66 of the Information Technology Act. Section 287 of the IPC is also picture. Then punishment will be sentence of 3 years or fine of 5 lakh or both. Then category of the offense will be 77B, that is, it will be a non-cognizable, then it may be a bailable, and it is non-compoundable in nature. The next offense is credit card or ATM or online banking fraud. This is very popular offense in India. Now, what is this? It means unauthorized or illegally you are getting or utilizing of funds from account which is belonging to the other, not belonging to yourself. The account will be belonging to the other. So what you are doing? I want to give you one example. You visited a hotel. Many of times you visited a hotel. You many of times never give cash. You never pay the bill by cash. Sometimes you pay a bill by virtue of using your credit card or debit card. So one classic case is there. A waiter at a hotel, when every time someone ate a meal in the hotel and paid by debit or credit card, the waiter used to swipe it through the magnetic card reader. That magnetic card reader is very small in size, that can be stored in the pocket. So what he had done, some person have a meal and provide and pay the bill to the credit card or debit card. He handed over that debit card or credit card in the hand of that waiter. Now that intention of the waiter is bad. What he had done, he had take that card from you, and he just swiped that card into a small magnetic card reader, and the moment that waiter scanned the card, into that small device, entire information of that card get transferred into memory of that device, and then he copied that information into a blank card. Now what had happened on the next day, that waiter gave that card to his friend who was having some kind of knowledge, and ultimately on another day, the person who had handed over the debit card to the waiter, he got some handsome message that so and so amount has been debited towards the shopping. He gets shocked that he has never done the shopping. Some handsome amount of 50,000 of rupees has been debited from his account. So he filed the FIR. Ultimately, offence get proved, and the section 43A, then B or G, read with 66 and 66C of the Information Act applicable. Then section 420, 467, 468 and 471 of the IPC Act will also apply. Then offence is proved, and ultimately court awarded a sentence of 3 years. Then 5 lakhs rupees fine is also given. Then section 77B is applicable. It is cognizable. It is bailable at the time of bail, but ultimately accused get a sentence. And if 420 is applicable, then it is non-bailable. If section 467 is applicable, then it is non-compoundable in nature. So various examples are there, but due to paucity of time, I may not explain in detail. The next offense is copyright. Now, I want to ask all of you, how many of you downloaded some files without permission of the owner? We are doing this day to day. We are downloading many of music, we are downloading videos, we are downloading various files without the permission of the original creator. So we also comes under the definition of this, because we are not asking the permission of the owner whether I should download or whether I reproduce the same. We never ask. So we also doing the same thing. We are each and every day doing the offense of copyright violation. So I want to give you one example. One person who copies some program because he want to convert some pictorial files into a PDF file. So what he had done, he had visited some website. Upon that website, some free programs were available to download, but he never gone into the agreement that e-digital agreement was available, that up to what extent he can use that free right. So he downloaded a file and converted it to a PDF file, but he has used that file not for the personal purpose, but he used that file for the commercial purpose, and that is not provided in the agreement. That is digital agreement, which is attached to the downloaded free software. The moment he downloaded and used the file to the commercial purpose, then section 51, 63 and 63A of the Copyright Act will be applicable. Then IPC section 405 and 420 will applicable, and corresponding provisions of the Copyright Act will also get applicable. The punishment will be 6 months to 3 years or fine of 50K to 2 lakhs or both. The category of offence will be cognizable or non-bailable and compoundable in the nature. The next popular offence is pornography, and you can say child pornography. Everybody knows this very well, because when we visited a number of sites, or when we visited the Facebook, or we uses the Instagram, number of advertisements are coming on the right hand side. The moment you click on some link, some pornography website will get open, and that pornography or child pornography, if the minor, then it is come under the definition of child pornography. So I want to give you one example. A boy was arrested by a police who used to sell some sexual intercourse video of 2 students on most popular website called www.baji.com. The Baji.com was held liable for distributing of porn or porn videos. Now what had happened? FIR was filed, and ultimately CEO of that Bazi.com was arrested, and later the boy was also arrested. I would like to give one more example. In recently, police arrested a group of persons who was involved in such kind of activities, who are running some porn sites for sexual preferences. So, in recent case, one XYZ, I will not disclose the name, he received some message from unknown person with an email link which contains some more for pornographic photographs, which demanded rupees 10 lakhs every month. So if she do not pay 10,000 rupees every month, her photo will be uploaded upon the social media sites. So initially she paid initially, but later found that one of from her close friends who wanted that she and her boyfriend should break up and their love relations so that he will get a chance to marry. The act of that boy is comes under the definition of pornography because the act it is a part of interpretation. The act of the boy will be a pornography because she gave a theft that he will send some pictures upon the site if she do not pay 10,000. The next offense is electronic forgery. This is very the electronic forgery means preparation of some false document through the electronic media. So I want to give you an example. Uh, you know everywhere that Delhi paper scam case. You know everyone. What had happened? He rented some professionals so that he can prepare some important documents with an intention to cause damage or injury to the public or individual in order to support any claim or title to the property. Now, uh, I want to give you one more example that is some student from the university. What he has done, he had done some manipulations in the documents in order to get the admission to the university. So, act of the student comes under the electronic forgery because he want to get the admission to the some university, and it is one of the criteria of the university that so and so category who we want to get the admission, and he do not have that certificate. So he made us some false certificate. He manipulated the duplicate certificate of the some say uh, degree, and he got the admission into the university. When the documents verified by the university, ultimately it is found that it is a forged document. So the boy was arrested, student was arrested, and ultimately Section 43I, read with 66, Section 65 of the IT Act will get applied, and ultimately the case is pending now in the civil court, in the criminal court. The next offense will be denial of service attack. What what is this denial of service attack? That means flooding of computer with more than request that it can handle. This means every computer is having some memory that we can say RAM. We have some limited kind of RAM. We can have a limited bandwidth of the internet. Then we have a limited bandwidth of the hard disk. So one person, what he has done, he has sent some link, and moment you click upon the link, number of requests has been sent to the computer. I want to give a classic example. A aggrieved student from the university continuously sends thousands of requests to the university website, and because of this university website becomes non-accessible to the other students who also want to access the university website. Now, generated targeted area are the banks, companies, or an intelligence infrastructures. Then I want to come to the directly because there are so many offenses. So this is the defamation. Now we are reading various newspaper. We are reading various news that so and so happened with so and so. What is defamation? Defamation means writing of some derogatory messages or comments using some social platforms like Facebook or like on the Instagram, then Twitter, etc. everybody is using Facebook, Instagram. We are having so many friends. So what had happened in one case, a company employee started sending some derogatory or defamatory or obscene emails to some his employee, that is its manager or say another person. The email was sent to many of her business associates to degrade her image. What he has done, he has some messages and he has have some link of her some kind of photographs, that is illegal photographs I can say, with the messages. And what is the intention? What is the intention is that to degrade her image or to degrade goodwill of the company. So a group of person posted some obscene photographs and contact details of that woman under the caption that she is having some preferences. And what he had done, he has sent that link to various persons with the number. Ultimately, what had happened, she started receiving some vulgar calls referring to her Facebook. A genuine person was badly affected by cyber defamation. So ultimately, she filed a complaint before the police station. During the course of investigation, that accused person got arrested. But ultimately, case was stood up before the criminal court. It was proved, and the accused person got arrested. Not only this, she also filed a case against the accused for the civil damages. She received some handsome amount of 5 lakhs from the court, and ultimately the case come to the use of some softwares, that is Snapchat, etc. The Snapchat or other Chinese applications have been now blocked by the concerned authorities. The under which section? Now I can say this is section 67C. Under this section, the concerned authorities are having power to block access or they can monitor traffic. Now I want also give an example, recent example. Everybody is using the WhatsApp. Yes, everybody is now WhatsApp. You might have received some message from the WhatsApp administrator that WhatsApp terms and agreements are amending. The moment you are accepting the terms and agreement, now prior to amendment of the terms and conditions, whatever you are transmitting the WhatsApp messages, initially it is encrypted. So A to B encryption was there. So A person sends a message to B and B read it. Nobody can interfere with that communication. That means C person are not in a position to read the communication between A to B. But nowadays, what had happened? The offenses are increasing on WhatsApp also. So WhatsApp administrative, they had done? They have amended the terms and agreement. Now the WhatsApp messages can be monitored. Why? Because terms and conditions have been amended, and they can monitor the traffic under the section 67C and allied provisions. Now, even if I want to give one more example, even if you are having a WhatsApp group, so someone are posting some messages on the group, if that messages is offensive in nature, and if you are forwarding what you are doing, if you are just forwarding the message in the group to someone friend in the group, you are not a composer of that message, but you are only forwarding the message. Even if that means you are abetting, you are doing an attempt, you are forwarding that message, offensive message to someone, that it may harm to someone other person, it may be a defamation, then it also covers under the section 84C. So you will get half of the punishment of the relevant. Now, if you file a civil matter for the compensation, then the section 43 of the IT Act will applicable. If you have an appeal, you want to go into appeal, then appeal will be provided in the section 57 of the IT Act. The limitation will be 45 days for the appeal, and thereafter appeal is provided to the High Court. Then appeal period is also for the 45 days, and section 62, appeal is 60 days, and section 66, 62 of the IT Act will get applicable. Now, after these offenses, I can say that uh, many hackers are around us. They are looking for the opportunity. So you must understand that what is the attacking points. So I think you must know, if you know the attacking points, you can replace the old software architecture with new coding and new security engines. What you have to do is, if moment you feel that I am coming I am a victim for the offense, what you have to deactivate that account. Why? Because file the FIR before the nearest police station. The police requires some evidence in order to prove that offense. So if you log out or you delete that account, the data will be deleted, and police may not get the evidence for the investigation. So please remember, don't delete the account or don't deactivate the account. You have to do is you just log out the account or you freeze the account, so that police will uh, get evidence in order to investigate the case. I want to. This is now very much important thing, that is preventive measures, because we are having a right of in the constitution, that freedom of speech and expression. So on the one hand, we are having a wide expression, that we want to use the softwares, we want to communicate with others, but at the same time, I can say that we want a secure platform, so that we can have a secure message system, or we can have a secure system. So what we have to keep in the mind, that these preventive measures, we can say that you must use the softwares, don't use the pirated softwares, install some latest software or security patches. Then you must configure your computer very securely, that you must have a proper settings of firewall, or you must have a modem or internet settings properly. Then you must periodically change the passwords, or you can use a strong password, that is combination of uppercase, lowercase, then numerics, or you can use a special characters, etc. Then you can have a license security software for data protection. Then you can have a end-to-end encryption decryption programs, so you can convert your important file, encrypted it, and you can transmit it file to the other person, and you can share the password, so that he can decrypt the password and he can read it. Other important thing is, don't disclose personal information to the others. Then if you are in a doubt, then block him. Then if you received some important link, if it is doubtful, then don't click upon the link. Then ignore the pop-ups. Then you block untrusted cookies. Then if you are uh, downloading something, and if it is not trusted, then don't download it. Then you must use two-factor authentication. Then you must generate the logs very periodically. Now I want to ask everyone, uh, that how many of you understand the relationship, or how you understand the relationship virtually. You must have a difference between the real world and the virtual world, because real world is something different and virtual world is different. You must know our limitations, up to what extent we should use the internet, because it is not a film, it is not a game, it is your life. Because someday it may take a life, it may take a life of your, or it may take a valuable things from your life. So I think so I must have explained everything. I want to go for the question and answer session. Pandey sir?
Yes. So, my dear students, if you have any questions,
So I don't have questions. I really love the presentation which sir has given. Basically, the way he put the example, which makes learning very easy and understanding also very much possible. So I really appreciate the way you presented it. Thanks a lot, sir. I would like to have a link of it so that we can recap it and if in doubt can see it again and again.
Yes, yes,
Thank you, sir.
yes,
I want to ask question.
yes.
Yes.
Sir, can if anybody makes defamation against me on an email, so can I made my grievance against that person who has committed defamation against me?
Yes, you can file a complaint before a nearest police station. And you have to, what you have to do is you have to take preserve that email first of all, and you have to take a screen print or you can take a printout of that email so that the what because the police requires some basic information, basic things, whether it is coming what sections to be applied. So they require some basic prima facie evidence so that they can file the affair.
My name is Santosh, and I can make the email. I can create email by fake name. Yeah, in that case, how can we make the responsibility of that person?
No, it is a part of the investigation. What the victim has to do, he has to first visit immediately to the nearest police station and file an entire complaint
Okay.
along with the date and time. Because date and time is very much important. Because see, cyber offences are very much technical. Therefore, date and time is very important.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
So this is Asmita Rupwate, second year LLB student. So my question is, nowadays we have to use certain apps. It has become inevitable part of our lives. But those apps, they do ask us for certain permissions, and if we deny those permissions, we don't get access to use those apps. Like they do ask for the access to gallery, to messages, and to whatnot, like everything, to contacts and everything. So in that case, what we can do, like we have to use those apps, but still we don't want our data or whatever personal information we have stored in our phone to be leaked. Secondly, sir, now I have got a message. It reads as your mobile number have selected winner of crore 60 lakh in UN Relief Fund program. To claim, send your name, phone, then age, address via email to awd202012@gmail.com. So I didn't click to that particular link, but then because I know such kind of messages are fake, but I didn't click it. But still, can I approach to the police station, to the cybercrime department in that case? My third question is that like first of all, why and how our data is been leaked? Our phone numbers, our emails, like you said, we get like the email bombing, what you said. So first of all, isn't it like the duty of this certain department to stop this kind of data stealing only, like where data is being sold out to some like
Yes, as far as your first question is concerned, if you don't press on the I agree button, then only it will allow to enter into a software, right?
yes.
So what you have to do is you have to set your settings, privacy settings, etc. So if you are using a Facebook account or if you are using many other softwares, there is a settings button is available. You have to enter into a settings and you have to do a privacy settings. That's all. And as far as the second question is concerned, what is it? May I, whether you are reading
Yes, sir.
the second question?
येस सर, तो मेसेज असा आहे की मला ऍक्च्युली एक मेसेज मिळालेला आहे सर, की जो म्हणतो की तुम्ही एक लॉटरी जिंकला आहात UN रिलीफ फंड प्रोग्राम मध्ये, यू आर द विनर. I did not click on that email. I did not respond. But still, in that case, I can go and report to the authorities. Like so and so message has been.
Yes, you can. Don't click on the message. Just have a screen print and then show that screen print to the police officers so that they can file a FIR.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And sir,
I have a question. This is Sneha Yavlekar, LLB second year student. I have a question.
Sir, what is your opinion about cryptocurrencies or say virtual currencies, and which or what kinds of laws are applicable in India on these kind of virtual or cryptocurrencies?
Cryptocurrencies.
Yes, sir.
Okay. First, what you have to do is you have to first file the complaint. As far as cryptocurrency is concerned, section C, there are clauses. See, it is just like as a counterfeiting related offenses. We can say that it can covered under the counterfeiting offenses. Just I have explained in my lecture. It is also electronic forgery. You can say. So if it is a electronic forgery, then section 464, 465, 468, that will be applicable. And if it is a counterfeiting, then
Really, I would like to say it was really a wonderful session, and we are so proud of Dapke sir, that student of our Pandey sir. Like I have joined 10, 11 years back when I did not got the opportunity to being an MC of Navjivan Law College, and today so many people have joined. Almost now it's 12:34, but still more than 80 participants are still there in the meeting. Even though 1 hour prior, given them the attendance link, still they have not left the meeting. This is a great of a great breaker. So I am very proud that he is our product of our nurture. So now I call upon Yashasvi Pawar to propose vote of thanks. Yashasvi Pawar.
Yes, great, sir. I, Yashasvi Pawar, of DLLB 4th year student, Navajivan Law College. On behalf of my college, I extend a really hearty note of thanks to our resource advocate Yogesh Dapke, sir. He has a great knowledge about cyber law given to us. He is alumni of our college. Such a great moment for sir. Just now you said that about cyberbullying, hacking, phishing, really, and all the serious offenses or crime of cyber law covered by you, sir. Sometimes we are unaware about that, but your guidance and knowledge is really helpful for us. You are an inspiration and role model for us. Sir spent time from his busiest schedule to grace the occasion today. We had an opportunity to hear your thoughts, and this will surely be going to encourage us in our future. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable guidance. I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Dev, sir, to our coordinators, Professor Pandey sir, Professor Dr. Shaista Inamda ma'am, and volunteers. Last but not least, our college staff working in backstage, and all the participants, my friends, attending this virtual lecture series of day 5 of space. Thank you, sir.
Now I request everyone to on their videos for having a virtual photograph. Let us have a virtual photograph together. Everyone on your videos. All will be meeting on Monday for the next session for the subject forensic science. Today we have covered cyber law, but you all know the situation of COVID-19, what is going on. So we are going to discuss and we are going to enter into medical jurisprudence on Monday and Tuesday. So bye-bye for today. Thank you all for virtual photograph and being present for this session. Thank you.